Hello and welcome to this session for anyone who's considering standing in the Aberdeen local government election in May 2022. My name is Vicky Cuthbert and I am the Council's Assurance Manager working within the governance team. We're delighted to be offering up some guidance and information on the role of an elected member to assist anyone who is planning to stand for election who has yet to make up their mind about whether to do that. Here are the topics we plan to cover with you today. Firstly, we'll talk a little about the role of a 21st century councillor. The role of a councillor has shifted quite considerably over the years, so we'll explain how you can expect to perform your role when working for a modern 21st century council. We'll then go on to explain how you can expect to support your constituents and what they might expect from you. Of course, you will need support and assistance from teams in the council in order for you to perform your role. So we'll outline the types of support you will receive and how this will help you. We'll also provide you with details of councillor remuneration and pension benefits. A significant part of the role of a councillor, of course, is local decision making for the city and citizens of Aberdeen. This is done through our committee structure and delegations to officers, so we'll explain how this works and what your role would be should you be elected. We'll also talk about the code of conduct for councillors and what this means in practice. Finally, we'll signpost anyone wishing to proceed to the nomination process to an online session being provided by the election team within the council so that you can have clear guidance on all aspects of the election process. So in summary, the objectives of the session today are to provide an overview of the main duties of an elected member, explain how elected members are supported in their role, and set out the requirements for conduct in public office. I'll now hand you over to the first of our speakers, Sandy Scott, on the role of the 21st century councillor.
Hi everyone, my name is Sandy Scott. I'm the People Development Manager at Aberdeen City Council. Elected members have always operated in a highly complex and political environment with many different demands being made of you. You are expected to represent the interests of your constituents, develop and scrutinise council decisions and policy, provide leadership and direction, and hold Aberdeen City Council to account to ensure best value is delivered for the people of Aberdeen. The role of an elected member has really evolved over the last couple of decades and has seen an even sharper evolution in the last 2 years as a result of the pandemic and enforced changes to ways of working. As a 21st century elected member, in addition to the foundational skills you need to work in this environment, for example, knowledge about how a council runs and operates, practical skills in public speaking and media training, there's also the relational skills you'll need to develop in order to really thrive. You'll not only be dealing with constituents and other elected members, but council officers, partners and local businesses too. This draws upon your interpersonal skills, so there's also soft skills to develop, such as negotiating and influencing, listening, and the digital skills to undertake your role through social media. So if you're new to the role and responsibilities of a councillor, there's a huge amount to learn. You'll be bringing a wide range of skills and knowledge from your own working and personal life, and we'll complement that with a holistic programme of training and development. We'll help you identify any gaps in your skills and knowledge and enable you to plug those gaps through our comprehensive induction, followed by ongoing skills and knowledge development through self-learning, peer learning, group events and national events with the Improvement Service. We very much look forward to meeting you. I'll now hand over to Bruce.
Thank you, Sandy. As Sandy says, my name is Bruce Reid. I'm the Business Services Manager, and I'm going to talk to you today about what you can expect as a prospective councillor in terms of support, both in terms of supporting your constituents. How does that look like on a day-to-day basis? And how does it work where electoral wards are represented by multiple councillors? Also, what support is there for me as an elected member in my role? I'll talk to you about the member support team, our members' inquiries process, and also the support for digital and technology. So we'll start first with the member support team. The member support team comprises of a leader secretary and 4 member support assistants who provide non-political administrative support, research and information assistance to all elected members. Elected members are assigned a team member who will be their first point of contact for support, although any team member can assist when required. The member support team are based at the townhouse beside the elected members' offices, and as we move more towards more digital ways of working, it will be for elected members and the member support team to assess what form of communication and support works best for them. For example, that could be a remote support, which is done mainly via Microsoft Teams, for example. It could be more office-based, or it could be a blend of both. As the slides state, elected members have a member support assistant assigned to them. However, anyone in the team can provide support. As the title suggests, the leader secretary focus is really on supporting the council leader in their role rather than supporting the wider elected members cohort. So what support is available via the member support service? That team can provide the support that meets your needs, as elected members may prefer to manage things like their diary, their emails themselves, rather than having someone else do that for them. This slide provides examples of support that's available. For example, general administrative support could be preparing and sending letters, creating and distributing documents. We can help manage and triage your incoming emails and meeting requests. We can arrange meetings on your behalf and provide guidance and support in using the corporate systems and protocols to be followed for things like how to raise an inquiry on behalf of a constituent, how to submit a request if you need to travel, how to register any interest you might have with an external party or organisation, and how to register any gifts or hospitality you may receive, and support you might need and require in terms of digital and technology as we move to more digital ways of working, as Sandy's touched on in terms of being that 21st century elected member. The member support team are not technology experts. However, they're very familiar with the systems and processes used for many digital applications and will be able to assist as that initial frontline support for you. However, if they're unable to help, they can support you in raising this with our digital and technology team, who can provide a far greater level of IT support. Now, by no means is this an exhaustive list of the tasks and some support you will receive, because no one size fits all, because all elected members will have their own preferred way of working and support needs, and we'll work with you to best address that with you. Another common task for elected members that we will support you with is when you raise members' inquiries. So elected members are responsible for raising inquiries that come in from constituents, or it could be a group of constituents, and they want this issue to be raised with the council on their behalf, and that's something that you and our member support team will do for them. As the slide states, to do this, we have the online members' inquiries portal for you. And on that, you can raise all the inquiries that you need to, and our customer feedback team will be there to support you in that process. Once an inquiry is raised, they will pass your inquiry to the right officer in the council and ensure a response is received so that you can update your constituent. Often inquiries will contain sensitive data, and you'll receive training on how to handle that data and on how to use the members' inquiries portal. The customer feedback team is there to support you on all aspects of this process. You may also wonder, how will I support my constituents in a multi-member ward? So there are typically 3 or 4 councillors per electoral ward, and they share responsibility for that whole ward. Now, this can include a mix of political parties and indeed independents. There are protocols in place whereby council officers will not share inquiries raised by constituents with other ward councillors unless we have their expressed consent. Even where you're a member of a multi-member ward, you're still representing your constituents as a single councillor. All councillors are working for the benefit of all constituents in their ward. So that gives you an overview of the support you can receive. I'll now hand over to Gail, who will discuss remuneration.
Thanks, Bruce. I'm Gail Anderson, one of the senior accountants for the council, and as Bruce says, I'll talk you through councillors' remuneration. The basic remuneration for councillors is advised by the Scottish Government, is based on population and is increased in line with the Consumer Price Index. The current basic remuneration payable to all elected members is £19,571 per year, with effect from the 5th of May 2022. This is paid monthly through the payroll direct to elected members' bank accounts, and no claim is required to have this paid. Senior councillor posts have historically been allocated, for example, to conveners and vice conveners of the core committees and licensing board. These appointments will be made at the first full council meeting after the election. Conveners and vice conveners will have additional responsibilities in relation to these committees and will be paid at a higher rate. Conveners will receive a salary of £34,254 and vice conveners £25,691. The convener of the joint board will receive a salary of £23,244 based on the specific responsibilities this includes. Each local authority may have one civic head post. The Lord Provost role requires that they represent the city on civic and ceremonial occasions, and they will receive a salary of £34,254 for 22-23. The leader of the council provides political leadership for the council and has additional responsibilities in relation to this. They will receive a salary of £45,669. Pension benefits for councillors are provided through the local government pension scheme, and Aberdeen City Council is a member of the North East Scotland Pension Fund. Councillors' contributions are based on incremental rates depending on salaries. The employer's contribution paid by the council are 17.9%. Councillors may claim costs incurred when travelling by private car, van, motorcycle and bicycle on approved duties, and they may also claim costs for travelling with passengers where both the councillor and the passenger are carrying out any approved duties. Examples of approved duties would be attendance at community council meetings, surgeries and travelling from home to the townhouse. These rates range from 5p to 45p per mile as shown. In addition to the mileage allowance, councillors can also claim the following costs associated with travelling by private car, motorcycle or bicycle when on approved council business. Parking charges, road and bridge tolls incurred, road pricing or congestion charges, ferry fares for cars, motorcycles or bicycles. Councillors may also claim back the cost of public transport, including buses, taxis, trains, air travel and ferries. They can also claim back the actual costs incurred for meals and overnight accommodation when they're carrying out council business away from their home or away from council premises. Councillors may be reimbursed the actual receipted cost for overnight accommodation up to the maximum rate of £250 for London and £150 elsewhere in the United Kingdom upon production of a receipt. Councillors will provide council will provide necessary equipment to allow councillors to carry out their roles, such as mobile phones and laptops. The council will provide councillors, if required, with a broadband connection to their home to enable councillors to carry out council business from home. All councils must publish information on councillors' salaries, allowances and expenses in respect of the previous financial year in a standard format on their website by 1st of June each year. These should include information on any costs for transport or subsistence which have been booked by the council on behalf of the councillor. A press statement is issued annually and discloses details to all councillors' remuneration and expenses. I'll now hand over to Martin Orchard, who will speak about committees and decision making.
Thanks, Gail. My name is Martin Orchard. I'm the committee lead within governance, and as Gail said, we'll now take a look at decision making. Councillors have a central role to play in making decisions and setting policies that impact upon their ward and across the city. The default legal position is that all decisions are taken by full council. However, that would be unmanageable, and therefore decision making can be delegated to committees and subcommittees, and their powers are set out in their terms of reference, and also to officers of the council via the powers delegated to officers document. If officers can't track something back to either the law, a council or committee decision, or a delegated power, then they don't have the authority and they need to report to council or committee seeking a decision. This chart shows the council's current committee structure as first approved by council in March 2018. The terms of reference detail the purpose and remit of each of the committees. I won't cover every committee, but I will touch upon some of them. In the middle at the top is council, or full council as sometimes known. Council is the ultimate decision-making body, which includes all 45 elected members. To the left of that is the Integration Joint Board, which is a joint body with colleagues in NHS Grampian to oversee adult health and social care, that is, the Aberdeen Health and Social Care Partnership. Also on the left are some of the Council's main committees. For example, the City Growth and Resources Committee, which is responsible for budgetary control and asset management primarily. The Audit, Risk and Scrutiny Committee is relatively unique in that its convener and vice-convener are members of the opposition, whereas other committees have conveners and vice-conveners from the administration. The Education Operational Delivery Committee is responsible for education services and discharges the educational functions of the Council. The Operational Delivery Committee is responsible for matters such as roads, the environment and council housing. On the right-hand side of the diagram, there are what is known as regulatory or quasi-judicial committees, such as the Licensing and Planning Committees, which determine licensing and planning applications. And beneath that are joint committees like the Northern Roads Collaboration Joint Committee and the Aberdeen City Region Deal Joint Committee, where Aberdeen City Council work in partnership with other local authorities in the north of Scotland to achieve shared goals in areas such as roads and infrastructure and city growth and investment. The Lord Provost is elected at the Statutory Council meeting following the local government election. The Lord Provost is a ceremonial and civic role dating back hundreds of years. However, the Lord Provost also chairs full council meetings. The council leader is generally selected from within the administration, and this is also likely to be approved at the Statutory Council meeting. In the past, Aberdeen City Council has had a co-leader arrangement. However, this is no longer the case. The composition or membership of the committees will be determined by full council, with subcommittees determined by committees. At the moment, most committees have 9 councillors with 5 members of the administration and 4 members of the opposition. However, this can change and membership should reflect the political balance of the council. Each committee has a convener and vice-convener, or chair and vice-chair, and these are generally members of the administration, with the exception of the Audit, Risk and Scrutiny Committee, as previously mentioned. One of the main roles of a councillor at committee meetings is scrutiny and accountability. For example, where you receive performance reports, you are there to ensure that services are being delivered in line with the commissioning intentions and agreed outcomes. The second key role is decision making, for example, moving alternative proposals or amendments at meetings, and then taking part in the debate and voting. Thirdly, all councillors have a responsibility for ensuring that a committee meeting operates effectively by following procedure, showing deference to the convener and respecting fellow councillors. Finally, councillors wear a number of different hats and may be representing their own views, those of their political party, constituents' views, or the city or region, but not when it comes to quasi-judicial matters, which I'll now come on to. A quasi-judicial body is a body which acts as an arbitrator between applicants, for example, licensing and planning, objectors, and the local authority. Councillors are obliged to take decisions objectively, having heard all of the evidence and testimony. Councillors can't commit to decisions in advance of meetings or agree a party political position, as otherwise they won't be able to participate and vote. Also, the criteria for taking part in voting is more strict. If a councillor misses part of the item under consideration, then they cannot vote on it. Training on quasi-judicial matters will be provided, and councillors are encouraged to attend, especially if they are on quasi-judicial committees. However, in order to be a member of the licensing board, training is mandatory and you have to pass a liquor licensing test before you can serve on the board. In terms of the role of the convener, he or she will oversee the running of the meeting from the chair in accordance with standing orders. They also have a role in terms of setting the agenda in advance of the meeting. If the convener is not in attendance, the vice convener will chair the meeting. In the absence of both the convener and the vice convener, the members present will appoint a convener to chair the meeting. Standing Order 36 sets out the powers of the convener. For example, to decide upon the order of business and matters of competency and relevancy, to accept urgent business onto the agenda in terms of the legislation, and to ensure members are given the opportunity to speak. The decision of the convener on all matters within Standing Order 36 is final. The convener also rules on points of order at meetings. A point of order is a verbal objection made to the convener that a statement or proposed procedure or action at the meeting may be in breach of the law, standing orders, or the councillor's code of conduct. If you raise a point of order, you must specify which law, standing order, or section of the code of conduct has been breached. The convener will rule on the point of order. Often they will note what has been said and ask members to moderate their language or behaviour. I will now hand over to John Forsyth, who will tell you about the code of conduct.
Thanks, Martin. My name is John Forsyth, and I'm one of the solicitors working for Aberdeen City Council within the governance team. And I'm here to briefly take you through the councillor's code of conduct. So every councillor in Scotland has to abide by the councillor's code of conduct. There's one code and it applies to every councillor across the country. And every elected councillor is expected to know and follow the code of conduct whenever they act as a councillor. The Code of Conduct was recently reviewed and updated in December 2021, and the updated code is written in plain English and it's intended to be easy to read, easy to follow, and easy to understand. The Code of Conduct is enforced by the Standards Commission for Scotland, who are also responsible for enforcing the Code of Conduct for members of the Scottish Parliament. The Standards Commission can sanction councillors who are found to have breached the Code of Conduct. The Code is intended to help uphold public confidence in elected councillors. Councillors are held to a high standard of behaviour by the Code, which reflects their position of responsibility and public trust. The Code sets out 9 key principles of behaviour which councillors are expected to follow when acting as councillors, and these are set out on this slide for you to have a look over and consider. All elected members are expected to embody these principles whenever they act as a councillor. These principles are general, and failing to abide by them is not in and of itself a breach of the Code, but is generally related to another breach of the Code of Conduct. So going on to some more specific principles of the Code of Conduct. Councillors are expected to always treat others with respect and courtesy. This includes treating other councillors, council employees and members of the public with respect and courtesy, even when you might disagree with their views. Councillors also gain access to highly confidential information as part of their roles, and they're expected to keep this information confidential and not to use it for personal or party political gain. Councillors are sometimes offered gifts and hospitality when undertaking their work, and the Code is clear that, except in a few situations, councillors should not accept these gifts or hospitality. And this is to avoid the perception that councillors are making decisions in return for material gain of some kind. Councillors are also given access to public resources as part of their work, and it's important that councillors use these resources sensibly and do not, for example, use council resources for party political reasons. The Code also requires councillors to make some information about their lives and the lives of their close family members public. Councillors must publicly register any interests which might affect their decision making as a councillor. These are put on the council website, and the registers of interest will remain there for the councillor's term of office. The code requires that a wide variety of interests be registered, but in particular, all councillors are required to register any kind of paid work they do other than being a councillor, and this includes self-employment or being the remunerated director of a company. Councillors are also required to register any non-financial interests they have that might affect their decision making. This includes holding office in a club or being part of a trade union, for example. Councillors also have to register the interests of close family members who do business with the council or are likely to do business with the council. This is intended to ensure that councillors are not accused of making decisions to benefit their family members. Councillors are also required to declare interests during council meetings if they believe that the interest might be seen to affect their decision making. The code sets out an easy three-part test so councillors can understand exactly when they have to do this. When councillors declare an interest, they also withdraw from the meeting and don't take part in the decision making. So the Code of Conduct sets out how councillors are expected to act in a wide variety of different situations beyond those that are discussed here, and the full code and guidance are available on the Standards Commission website. And I'll now hand you back to Vicky.
Thank you, John, and to all our other contributors. I hope that this has been an informative recording session for you and has answered some questions from aspiring councillors. If the session has left you with any questions at all, we will be scheduling a drop-in session in the coming weeks. Before we close the recording, I'd like to signpost to a session which is being run by the election team on the 8th of March. This is a briefing for candidates and agents and will provide an overview of arrangements for the election, including nominations, postal voting, polling day and the election count. If you wish to request an invitation or for any other inquiries relating to these elections, please email the address shown there, which is elections@aberdeenscity.gov.uk, and you can also visit our website at the address listed for nomination forms and further guidance. Thank you for watching.